Okay, I think it's on. Hello. It's another installment of Onyx Void. Got something new for you guys to look at this time. I know you see it, but this is still being done offline. Completely outside on my walk. No internet, no phone with me, no distractions, just my thoughts. Not original thoughts, as there's nothing new under the sun, but somewhat detached from the influence that is being perpetually on the internet. I'm sure I remembered enough, but of what I watched today, consumed today. But I'm going to talk about my day from yesterday. As I came home pretty late after working my 12 hours of Hell Cube. What's the word I'm looking for? Captivity. Hell Cube captivity. I cobbled something together because, well, if you're going to be on YouTube, demands that you do daily uploads, at least, at minimum. Some people doing 3 times a day, 4 times a day of uploads, and they're just perpetually on this system. It's not just a platform anymore, it's a system. But pushing past that, to start with, something that was alarming for my Monday morning was somebody stole my trash can. I know, it's weird. I don't know if it was one of my neighbors, just based off of pettiness, or if it was one of the wandering vagrants, and I don't know what they're exactly going to do with it. It's technically not our property, it's the city's property, but it's happened before. It's just weird. Like, what are you going to do with a trash can? Like, you couldn't call the city and say, hey, we just need an extra trash can. It's like, or what would a vagrant do with a trash? They're going to live in the trash can? It's the weirdest thing, man. But that just gives you a sense of what type of community I'm living in. But moving beyond that, stole a trash can. See, I jumped a car with a motorcycle, and you're probably wondering how I do that. How did you do that? Well, I took the motorcycle. Well, I got the motorcycle. It has a rack on the back, metal one, and I took another car battery. I strapped it to the back of the motorcycle and threw some charging cables, some jumper cables around my neck, and I rode to the motorcycle. It wasn't too far from the house. I popped the hood, connected the battery from the rack onto the battery of the car, and started the car. Probably no one's ever done that before. If you have, leave a story. But, by the way, like and subscribe on this channel if you vibe with any of this. I would love to call this a job. I was walking from Walmart and I was thinking, in this economy, you have to have more than one job, 2 jobs, and nobody has time for anything anymore. And that's going to play more into what I actually want to talk about in this video. But yeah, nobody has time anymore to really just sit down and just enjoy life. Every moment has to be every waking moment has to be part of production. I've said this before, of course, in another video. And that's just the reality of the situation. A lot of people are living with roommates, which is my current situation as well. But I would love to call this a job. Even if I just got paid a few pennies, it'd be cool to say I was a YouTuber. So if you can, just like and subscribe so I can get to however was 100,000 subscribers. Did you get the bronze plaque from YouTube? I gotta look it up again, but I just think it'd be cool. It'd just be like, hey, there's this one time in life where I worked 3 jobs. What do you got? And some Jamaican guy will come out of nowhere and be like, "Ah, man, I do that on a normal day. That's my normal basis, mom." We 3 jobs, you lazy. We work 6 jobs here in Jamaica. My terrible Jamaican accent going ham right there. But working 12 hours at Fairlife, and I had to do it. And this is where I get into the topic. I had to drink a Monster energy drink. I had to feel not a heavy caffeine addiction, but I had to make the caffeine addiction heavier than it already was. So when I went to go to this place, this hell cube, this concrete hell cube, as I was going there, I thought I'd stop for some food or something, and my card got declined, so I just went in dry, which wasn't fun. And about 3 hours into it, I felt myself waning, because it's a boring job. You're just in a lab writing down results is extra boring, and you're standing for 12 hours and your back is hurting, your feet are killing you, and I definitely didn't get paid enough for that. I finally seen the checks for that, and oh my god, that wasn't life-changing money like I thought it would be. In fact, that's just, I think what I said in the last video, economically unviable. And in fact, I think they're paying less than they were 3 years ago when I did the same job at $17 an hour. And I think that's the highest I'm ever going to get from this place as a day laborer. But that almost, what I really wanted to talk about was banking, the banking system. Let me get to talk about that before I talk about the caffeine addiction. No, I'll start with the caffeine addiction. Caffeine addiction. Okay, drank the Monster, and I find myself today finally coming down from it, and I'm starting to feel like I did at Amazon, where it's absolutely scary. The pit of my stomach just feels absolutely trashy, of course, and there's this mental clarity you get when you finally come out of it. And man, I didn't even think I had work. Apparently I had work today. They called me. I was completely dead. I was asleep. I didn't think I had work, so I just rolled back over and hit the snooze button. But just everything about drinking these heavy energy drinks and just being addicted to caffeine is terrible. It's great at first, but it's like every other drug, and it's a legal drug. You have all this awesomeness happening to you, and then eventually it starts to kill you from the inside out. And before you know it, at some point you run out of money and you have to stop. Something forces you to stop, and you have to deal with the reality without those stimulant enhancing lenses, put it that way. And I hate feeling like this. I hate having to need to stimulate myself this much to work a job that's so abysmal. I mean, not abysmal. I could be doing worse. I could be sitting and just tippy-tapping away at some computer, which is boring. It's not what I'm particularly good at. It's not what I'm particularly... Let's just say it this way. I wouldn't be alive if I did that for more than a few years. Well, more than a year. I wouldn't be alive anymore. Because I need to move. I need to move the body, which is part of the stimulus. Why it doesn't really work that well for you, especially if you're being a trucker. You take it so you don't murder people with your 10,000-pound semi-truck, but the results are never, at the end of the line, are never all that great. But on the flip side, I had the first pot of brewed coffee I've had in forever, like fresh brewed out of some coffee machine, actually hot coffee, and it was eye-opening. It was actually pretty nice. I gotten used to bitter drinks. I didn't eat any sugar with it. I gotten used to like just drinking straight coffee as part of the caffeine addiction without sugar, and hoping that that would lead me somewhere better. But the coffee without the sugar, coffee in general, just straight brewed, it's never hits the same as something like double shot espresso, or something that's been enhanced with caffeine additives, where the caffeine was separate from what you were getting from the coffee, and then they added more. But I really never want to feel this way again. I never have to get to the point where I actually need the stimulants to perform my job. So if you can, like and subscribe, because this right here on YouTube, this doesn't require any type of stimulants for me to actually do. I can do this without having to juice my brain to the point where ideals pop out. I mean, it does work sometimes, but as long as it's just like my normal code of function. Like, I haven't had stimulants in a while. I'm kind of off the juice of caffeine. But yeah, it's the little secret everybody keeps because it's legal. It's the little, what's the word I say, the little sin, not sin, it's the dirty secret we like to keep. Yeah, just put it that way. It's the dirty secret we like to keep. We don't like to talk about it, that a lot of people are addicted to caffeine. And I think Shion had coined this term not too long in one of her videos ago, not too long ago, that the world might just be running off perpetual post-nut clarity. But I think the world is running off a lot of things. The people of the world are running off a lot of things, and it'd be fear and misery and caffeine addiction. Because caffeine has been around for a very, very long time. And I found it interesting that in this economy, the one thing that does go up, that people point out in its own separate category, is coffee beans. Yes, the price of coffee is going up. It not so much in like the Walmarts, but in the dollar stores, the convenience stores, is definitely kicked up a few pennies. I've seen that, and I can assume that people are just going to buy less of it. This is how it goes, and it's going to continue to get worse. But if you've been here with me, in my shoes, I buy coffee regardless. I've been buying expensive coffee. Starbucks, that, like in the can, not going to the store because I would never go to one of those places. I'm kind of not welcomed in those places because I don't look the part or whatever. But, just buying it from the can and stuff, especially if I can get like a deal, like, your Sprouts or Safeway or whatever, it's buy one, get one free or whatever, I'll buy it, I can find it on sale. But even if I can't find it on sale, I prefer to get, something double shot coffee than something fully artificial like a Monster energy drink, or even worse, NOS, which was my go-to for like the longest, like in an emergency, if I actually just was slumped over and I just needed that extra push, I would get NOS. Because not just because it's a heavy sugar rush, which I probably at my age I probably shouldn't be sucking down, but because it actually worked. I instantly feel like the focus, but the crash is absolutely horrible. And the only way to avoid that is to, well, there's no way of avoiding that. Eventually, even if you take more NOS, eventually you're going to run out of money and you're going to crash into the ground and your kidneys are going to fail and it's going to be terrible for you all over. So I believe the world runs off of perpetual fear, misery, and caffeine. And for the longest time it has, even before energy drinks. And I think that's why a lot of people from the 70s and older actually didn't get, I don't want to say overweight. Yeah, they didn't get overweight. They weren't looking overweight. You were looking back at the pictures, it was rare to see an overweight person in the 70s, but like come what 90s, well, I guess the energy drink back then would have been Coca-Cola, but even then that wasn't so bad. But come what 90s, 2000s, yeah, Monster Energy drink was everywhere. You got the X Games all propping it up, Monster Energy drink and stuff. Yeah, and you get on that stuff, and the downside to it is not only do you kill your kidneys and your liver and any vital organ you need to survive, basically, eventually over time, but you're gonna pack on some pounds. You're gonna pack on some pounds if you're not, especially if you're not using that energy. There's something that these energy drinks do to you that leave you in a terrible position, and it's a terrible trade-off. I mean, like I say, it feels good in the moment, and you're hopefully getting work done. You're hopefully getting what you want to accomplish done, but the trade-offs seems like it's never all that great, even if you work 2 jobs or whatever. But beyond that, next topic, the banks. The banking system. You know what? I'm going to leave the banking system for a separate view. I'm going to leave the banking system for a separate video, because that is a whole can of worms in itself. And I'm just going to leave it there. Now, if you're still with me and you like stimulating yourself to the point where you can come and enjoy peering into the void and staring back with the rage of 3 NOS energy drinks popped, then leave your caffeine addiction stories in the comments. Maybe if you vibe with this, maybe leave the post a like. And I'll see you guys in the next one.